Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Motor Mike Media, and as always, I'm your host, Motor Mike. Now, today we'll talk about Tesla, as well as the CEO, Elon Musk. It'll be a nice little overview of everything. Later on, I'll go more in depth about each individual model and make a video on those. But let's get started. We're going to start with Elon. Now, I know people either love him, they hate him. Some people think he's a genius. Other people think he's kind of crazy. Regardless of all of that, you have to admit that the success that Tesla's going through is mostly because of him. Now, let's talk the marketing strategy. Now, most of these automakers, they have these huge marketing teams with so many people working for them. They're taking out ad spaces, whether it be newspapers, magazines, ads online, YouTube ads. They're taking out all these ads and then they're filming. They're filming stuff, photography, word of mouth, a little bit of everything to get their cars out there so people know what they have, what's new, what's coming up. Now, Tesla doesn't really do that. The majority of their marketing strategy is Elon. You let Elon be Elon, and word of mouth, for the most part, will get all the information you need. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's look at a few things he's done. Just recently, he had Tesla Tequila. Now, if you remember, that originally was an April Fool's joke, and he turned it into reality. It was a cool lightning-shaped bottle. It was very expensive. It's a nice way to make some quick cash, but they sold out in hours. And then people start talking about Tesla and Tesla Tequila. So right there, everyone starts talking about it. So people hear it, it's word of mouth. And you can look at the Model S. Like a month ago or so, he lowered the price of it. And what did he lower it to? $69,420. That's right, $69,420. And haha, it's Elon, but a lot of people talked about it. I've seen people make a full video on YouTube about it. News articles wrote articles about that. So all this stuff just because he did one little thing. You can look at the Boring Company from a few years ago. They made the flamethrower. Another company he owns, another product that makes him quick cash. And what happened? Well, people posed in front of their Model 3s, their Model S's, their Model X's. And all these pictures get posted up and everyone starts talking about Tesla. They talk about Elon. So that simple strategy is doing wonders for them. Is that word of mouth, and basically Tesla is a household name. When people see an electric car, a lot of older people are like, is that a Tesla? Because they really don't know, but they know what a Tesla is. They know it's an electric car, and a lot of people like them, regardless if you like him or not. Now, enough about him. Let's go into the cars. The first car that they ever made in the early days was the Roadster. And the Roadster came out in 2008 and made it all the way until about the end of 2012. And it was awesome. They basically took a Lotus, they brought it here and modified it. They added the motors, the electric batteries, they changed the styling up, and bada boom, you got the Roadster. Now, they made about 288 horsepower and got 245 miles of range. Not bad. Now, the early days of Tesla, they were Tesla Motors back in the day. They were trying their best to get people to invest in them. And they did that. Elon wasn't the original founder. He got in control later on, but he was one of the big components to getting these people to make these heavy investments. And he was the one that needed the push to get the Roadster done. And I really love the Roadster. I think it looks real cool. I would love to drive one of these. But you don't really make money on a vehicle like that. They're over $100,000, but they're made very sluggish, if you will, limited production. They try their best to make a few more later on to oomph the ante and make a little bit more money. But you need to make volume vehicles. Something that costs a little less to make that you can make some profit on. So what did they do? They made the Model S. Now the Model S came out in 2012 and it was a striking vehicle. It was a more practical vehicle, being a sedan. It had this nice long sleek look to it, very modern. I really like the refreshed model that happened like 2017, 2018. It got rid of that fake grille they had up front. Overall, it was a very handsome vehicle from the outside. Now when you step onto the interior, that's where the magic happens. They had this giant touchscreen, and it was the first of its kind. Back then, no one really had a giant touchscreen. The touchscreens back then were very small, kind of sluggish. This was one that was large, it was very functional, and they always made improvements on it. And in front of you, you had a nice digital gauge cluster just to enhance the luxury feel. And it was a good success for them. But what comes after that? Well, the Model X. Now the Model X was their crossover vehicle. At this time, we saw the trend of crossovers, SUVs taking foot. Less and less people were buying sedans, moving to the SUVs crossovers. So Elon said, hey, we need to make this. Now basically the Model X is the Model S, just enhanced, enlarged to become an SUV with its own little unique features. What are some of those features? Well, the Falcon doors. They're basically double hinged. They have sensors in there, and it's a mechanical system, so the doors will lift up. They have sonar and sensors that will go off so they can detect what's around there so they don't bump into anything. They're very expensive to make. It's a lot of software working together to get them done. It kind of postponed the original launch for the X, and it has caused lots of problems for them. But you have to admit, when it works, it looks amazing. And when he first unveiled that car, that was the key selling point. Is not only is this vehicle bigger, it has more space, it's more practical, but you have this awesome feature you won't find anywhere else. Now those vehicles, they were the milestone. The Roadster was gone at this point, so you had the S or the X. And they did well. He was able to ramp up production. They made way more S's and X's than they ever did Roadsters. They were all aluminum body construction, and it was cutting edge. So at this point, what do you do next? Well, we all know they needed something that was even more mass producible. They needed to make profits. Even at this point, having vehicles that they could sell more of, you're still not making profits. You need something that's affordable, something you can sell in very high volumes. But what do? You make something smaller. And that was the Model 3. The Model 3 came out in 2017, and it's one of my favorite Teslas. The Roadster's number one, the Model 3's next. It was the next generation of electric vehicles for them, a smaller platform, while still having very good range. Basically right now, if you get a Model S, which is the large sedan, you can go from like 250 miles of range all the way up to like 400, which is very impressive, but costs lots of money. The Model 3, yes, you won't get that crazy long range, but you can get up to 350 miles of range, which is very impressive. Those cars are small, they're nimble, they're quick. You can get ludicrous mode, so they just beat everything off the drag strip. They're very impressive. And they sold well. They're still selling well. But people still want crossovers and SUVs. And the Model 3 is just a sedan. So what they do, kind of the same thing that they did with the Model X, is they basically took the Model 3 and enlarged it. It's about 10% bigger in every dimension, and bada boom. You take the 3 and make the Model Y. It's a crossover now. It's a little bit bigger in every dimension, and they're selling like hotcakes. They just came out for 2020, and them and the Model 3 are the best sellers for them. It's impressive that this company went from nothing to one car, Roadster, and made limited production, to now having 4 cars that are sold globally. More and more people are wanting them across the country, across the world, and it's impressive. Now, what are some things that Tesla does that other companies haven't done or are just starting to do? Well, they built an infrastructure. Before they even started mass producing the Roadster to their max capacity, they were building charging stations, making sure they had routes where you can get across America, making sure that anywhere that there could be a potential EV hotspot, that there's plentiful chargers. And even to this day, not only in America, but across the world, they're adding chargers, adding routes. It's cool that they're building this infrastructure that just wasn't there before. You can look at other automakers that aren't doing that. Some automakers are just saying, hey, we'll put chargers at our dealerships. Well, a lot of times when you go places, you might pass one of those dealerships. It's not practical. They're putting their money where their mouth is and building this infrastructure, which is great. They're making newer supercharger stations that will charge cars even quicker. They even have nice big ones where multiple vehicles can come up. They're in nice areas where you go out to eat, or there's a park, so you know the time of charging, well, you have activities you can do, so you can plan your schedule accordingly. Other things that they do that other companies don't do or are starting to do is over-the-air updates. Their technology is so advanced that a lot of their vehicles can just get updates like that overnight, whether it be improving your economy. Getting a few more miles on an electric vehicle is great. Improving your performance, making the vehicle slightly quicker because someone figured out, hey, if you change a few things around, we can optimize this potential. Or just adding things like games, new modes, like ludicrous mode. Your super speed capability, that wasn't standard. That was something that someone made eventually and over their update added to your vehicle. It's cool to see stuff like that. So if you're sitting there charging, they can just update your games. So now you have games to play. You can use your steering wheel while you're waiting for your car to charge. It's cool that they do all these little weird, quirky things that be different, be unique. Another cool thing that they do that other car companies just don't do is the way they sell their vehicles. They don't have traditional dealerships that you go to and there's a huge lot and some guys trying to mark up prices. For the most part, there might be a studio here or there where you go in, you might test drive a vehicle, but that place is where a vehicle will be dropped off to. Or you can get your vehicle dropped off to your home. You go online, build the vehicle you want, and it'll tell you when it's going to come to your house, and it'll show up. You don't have to this haggling strategy, talking to salespeople and trying to get your best deal. You get the deal online, and it either comes to your house or one of those studios. And that's awesome. I feel like eventually other automakers will start doing the same thing. Well, I talked about the cars, I talked about Elon, I talked about their marketing strategy, and why they're a little bit different than most people. But I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. Do you guys like Elon? Do you not like him? What do you think about Tesla? And what's your favorite Tesla vehicle they make? Now, not only do they make cars, but they make solar panel roofs, energy systems. They do a little bit of everything, as well as all the other companies he owns, like SpaceX. He launched one of his own roadsters out there. Another way of marketing strategy. But regardless of all that, I thank you guys so much for watching. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell. That way you guys can stay up to date with the latest and greatest from my channel. I have done a few other EVs before. I have a own little playlist for them. Check those out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But regardless of that, I'll see you all in the next one.